It appeared Lady Rebecca Thatcher had the rolling meadow to herself, except for three gentlemen who had stepped out of their club, or so she believed. A young boy flew at her from his hiding place from behind a huge oak and hugged her legs. Mama, Mama! Rebecca opened her mouth to ask him what the devil he was about, but instantly caught sight of a harsh-looking individual bearing down on her. Them. She wrapped an arm around the boy's thin shoulders and waited until she was certain the man was close enough to hear. Where have you been, young man? I've been beside myself trying to find you. His blue eyes flashed with gratitude. I'm sorry, Mama. He lowered his gaze in a brilliant show of contriteness. His once white shirt was gray and tattered. I'll lock you in the schoolroom, I will, if you ever pull a stunt like that again. Do you understand? She said, shaking him lightly. The man pulled up before her, and she tightened her hold on the boy. The vile villain's nostrils flared from a thin and pointed nose. His cheeks flushed a ruddy red. Black eyes, small and deep-set, narrowed on her. This here's your child? Rebecca thrust her shoulders back and pulled to her full height, barely to his shoulders, some inches over 5 feet. 2, if one were exacting. Keeping a firm grip on the child, she eased him behind her and faced the man straight on. Indeed he is, she said, in her haughtiest imitation of one of her most challenging governesses she'd grown up with, effectively shutting out the ghostly tendril memories of her first and favorite, Miss Lowe. And just who might you be, sir? He reached toward her. She scuttled back out of his reach. That boy don't belong to ye, he growled. Ain't no one outsmarts Finch Cromwell. She committed the name to memory, eyeing the young gentleman across the park, and raised her voice. Unhand me, sir. The volume had the intended effect, and the young men hurried in her direction. The villain sneered. This ain't over, he hissed. Just like that, he melted away. What is the meaning of this? The tallest one asked. Are you unharmed, madam? Of course I am, she said, muting her irritation. Rebecca Thatcher was not a woman usually in need of rescuing, the proof of which she carried in her reticle in the form of a very fine, very sharp dagger. The young man glanced about, then settled his gaze back on her. You ought not to be out here alone, ma'am. This here's a dangerous area for a young lady. There was condescension in his voice that rippled across her skin, but she reined in her hauteur. After all, she was the one who had called out. Thank you, but I've been looking for my son. She glanced over her shoulder. Finch Cromwell was nowhere to be seen. His complete and utter disappearance sent a shudder over her. The man frowned. Shall I call for a hack? Behind her, the boy stiffened and attempted to wrest from her hold. That won't be necessary, she said to the young man, maintaining a solid grip on the child. My carriage is just in front of the lecture hall. Shall we accompany you in the event that scalawag returns? The boy quit fighting her hold and froze. That would be lovely, she said, smiling. Shall we, my dear? She directed to her new charge. His lips pressed into a petulant line. He knew he was outnumbered if he attempted to run. The troop reached her carriage and she handed the boy up. Stay here a minute, Barrett, she said to her driver. Thanking the young men, she climbed in and took the seat across from the boy. Would you care to tell me what this is all about? Nothing. All right, then. Where are you from? Nothing. Lips tighter, perhaps. Your name? Nothing. A constable might assist us, or a doctor, since you seem to have lost your ability to talk. We can't leave, not yet. His hurried words were succinct, and though he was young, educated, so he wasn't from the streets. And why is that? Something nudged the carriage, and his small frame seemed to heave a huge sigh of relief. The carriage shook again, and Rebecca knew that Barrett had taken care of whatever it was that had shaken the conveyance in the first place. The door opened, and Barrett held up an identical version of the child sitting across from her. Good heavens, she breathed. There are two of you? She shook her head. Toss him in, Barrett. Naturally, Barrett set the child gently to his feet inside and shut the door. The boy took his place next to his brother and they clasped hands. She glanced at the first boy. I take it he is who we were waiting on. He nodded. Let us start again. Your names, if you please. Boy number one did the talking. I'm Oliver, and this here's my brother Owen. It's nice to meet you both. I'm Lady Rebecca. Now tell me, where are we going? The boys looked at one another, then back at her, their eyes wide. Oliver, the apparent designated speaker, said, "We'd like to go home, please." "And where is home, pray tell?" "Somerset, my lady." "Summer—" She sucked in a sharp breath. "Well, that is a 2-day drive, young man. How on earth did you end up in London?" Oliver's mouth tightened into a line she was already starting to associate with what was a stubborn side of him. Rebecca held a long breath, looking out the window before letting it out. Owen had yet to utter a word. "Somerset." She drummed her gloved fingers on her knee and faced them. "All right. I shall escort you to Somerset. You won't mind if we locate some clean clothes for you?" Oliver, or was it Owen, nodded. "Will that dastardly man be chasing us?" They looked at one another, then back at her. Oliver shook his head. "That's something, anyway." She lifted the trap. "The house, please, Barrett." Rebecca ushered her charges into the house. She stripped off her bonnet, handing it to Lars, the river's stately butler. Her gloves came next, and the atmosphere in the hall riddled in shock. Oliver's eyes widened in horror. "Cor, what happened to your arm, my lady?" Rebecca glanced down at the unsightly scarring located just above her wrist on the inside. It covered a good portion of her forearm and had gotten infected at the time. She never forgot how lucky she was that Papa hadn't allowed the surgeon to take the hacksaw to her unsightly limb. "I saved a friend from a monster." Due to the break in her wrist she'd sustained at the time, she'd acquired an uncanny predilection of foul weather since the disaster. "Did you kill him? I hope you killed him," Oliver said. "No, but I knocked him insensible, something you would do well to remember." She led them up the stairs to the first level. "Are you hungry?" "Famished, my lady." Oliver answered for the two of them. A niggling suspicion was taking hold, but Rebecca squelched her questions and addressed the butler. "A tray for 2 hungry boys, Lars. Any messages?" "Just one, my lady, from Lady Huntley." "Gabriella?" Rebecca snatched her friend's missive from the butler. She'd recently married, though Rebecca hadn't been able to attend. In any event, Rebecca had thought her still on her honeymoon. "Have a bath drawn for the boys," she said absently. "A bath?" Oliver's voice was a high-pitched squeal. "If I'm to ride in a carriage with you all the way to Somerset, I insist on a bath. Am I quite clear on this?" "Yes, ma'am," he replied meekly. She looked at Owen, who stared back, his blue eyes watchful, nary a word passing his lips, but nodding all the same. That was something, anyway. "Come along, then. Food first." She decided the library would hold more fascination for 2 boys rather than her father's stuffy, formal dining room. "Blimey," Oliver said when they walked in. Bookcases from floor to ceiling covered every wall, and circular stairs went to a second level to yet more books. Grinning at Oliver's surprise, she took a seat. "Spectacular, isn't it? Feel free to peruse about. You're not going to hurt anything." She glanced down, reminded by the note she still held, and broke the seal. "My dearest Rebecca, I thought you might come for a visit. I miss our midnight chats, and it's been years. There's much to share. Please say you'll come. I'm in Dorchester, and I refuse to take no for an answer. I shall see you soon. Impatiently awaiting, Gabriella." Rebecca turned the missive over. The note was cryptic at best. Years indeed. Their last midnight chat was 7 years ago, the night before their joint come-out ball. It had only been 6 months prior that the two of them were whisked away from Miss Greensley's School of Comportment for Young Ladies of Quality. And why the devil was Gabriella in Dorchester? Rebecca reread the note. Definitely south, not north, leaving Rebecca more than curious. Frankly, she didn't trust any of the nobility when it came to its upstanding members. Dorchester was located south of Somerset, so a visit to her friend should conveniently work out after delivering the boys. From there, she would return to Exford, her own home, rather than London. She moved to the escritoire and pinned a quick note to Gabriella and another to her father, letting him know of her change in plans. Papa would hardly notice of her absence besides. The door opened and the housekeeper entered with a tray. The boys pounced. Duke of Ryleigh, Grosvenor Square. Sebastian Linwood, the Duke of Ryleigh, for almost 2 years now, was tired. Anyone who read a list of his titles that also included the Marquis of Dorset, Viscount Woodsford, and a military rank of Admiral of the Fleet in the Royal Navy would hardly disagree. He was rather proud of that last one as he'd earned it, rather than been born to it, though he was pragmatic enough to recognize his need for control and structure. Such traits played a key role in why he'd taken so well to the military lifestyle. He abhorred chaos. Sebastian picked up the note from his sister Gabriella, the recent Countess of Huntley, and read, Dearest Seb, I'm in Dorchester, and I've invited my friend, Lady Rebecca Thatcher, to visit. You remember her? You refused to marry her after kissing her in the garden during my come-out ball. Incidentally, Seb, I no longer wish to be Countess of Huntley. He is not the husband I thought him to be. Don't worry in the least about me. I shall be fine. Your younger and dearest sister, G.